The Milwaukee Journal Sentinal did a report. In fact, they did this study on the number of people who get pulled over by police officers in traffic stops in Milwaukee, right? So it's really interesting because they looked at 46,000 traffic stops. And of those 46,000 traffic stops, 2/3 of the people pulled over were black.
Of course! But no, Dr. Lord tells me that racism is solved. We have a black president. So it's weird how they haven't, changed their patterns of who they pull over.
According to their report, blacks are actually 7 times more likely to get pulled over than whites.
7 times. Hold on for a second. We'll get to Latinos, everybody else in a second. But think about that, man. So when sometimes black folks say, hey, they're worried about discrimination. You haven't walked a mile in their shoes. So how many white people say, they always complain. They always complain because they're always getting pulled over. But you don't know that because you don't get pulled over 7 times as much because you're white. And then a lot of people are, what are they complaining about? Well, they're complaining about things that are actually happening to them. You got to try to walk a mile in their shoes, understand where they come from. You see what happens here, right? So please have that perspective. Don't be automatically dismissive. If this happened to me, if it happened to you, wouldn't you say, hey, wait a minute, I don't think that's right. Maybe we should change that. All right, Latinos, as you saw there, also 5 times more likely than whites to get pulled over.
Yep. And blacks only make up 40% of the population in the city. However, Milwaukee is known as the most segregated place in the United States.
I didn't see that coming from Milwaukee, but that's an interesting perspective. And another study had done interesting analysis of the N-word, and they looked to see where people Google searched it the most. Mm-hmm. And you might not think that that's indicative, right, of whether they're actually racist or not. And it was the N-word spelled out with ER at the end, so it avoided all the rap songs, etc., when you do the Google search. But what they found was really interesting. It turns out in places where, like Utah, where there are almost no black people, it's almost never searched. And it's actually, so there isn't a lot of racism because there aren't a lot of black folks, right? And in places where the city is over 30% minority, again, not a lot of searches, not much indication of racism, right? Mm-hmm. But in places where there's, less than 30%, but a significant minority, that's where it's searched the most. But the reason I brought it up in this case is it's not all in the South as you would think, or as some people might think stereotypically. No, it's in upstate New York, it's in West Virginia, it's in all of these blue states all across the country. So, Wisconsin is can be considered a blue state, at least a purple state, right? And look at what's happening. When it comes to Milwaukee, minorities are so much more likely to get pulled over, and in fact, not only significant segregation, the worst segregation in the country.
Right. I just think that we're really, and by we, I don't mean the two of us, I mean just the U.S. in general, are really quick to pretend as if we got the racism issue figured out. Like, we got it figured out, it's behind us, now we need to move on to other things. We haven't had it figured out. The racism isn't as overt as it used to be, but it still exists. And it exists institutionally, it exists within our system, and we need to find a way to educate people about it so we're at least aware about it and we're not ignoring the situation.
One last thing, that same study, and again, of course, you take it with a grain of salt, it's just based on Google searches, so if you're skeptical about it, I get it. But I found the results interesting. Otherwise, I might have been more dismissive too, in the sense that, it did show, look at all these people in areas that are very specific searching that word. So it led me to believe maybe there is a link between the search and the amount of racism in that area. Anyway, that study analyzed people who voted for John Kerry versus people who voted for Obama based on race and the area that they live in, yada, yada, yada. Make a long story short. They think that racism cost President Obama 3 to 5% of the vote, okay? 3 to 5% of the vote, which is significant. And he still won fairly handily over McCain. Mm-hmm. That's how bad the Republicans have screwed up the country.